Hi, this is Amanda from Berroco, and today I'll be demonstrating how to reverse the shaping for a sweater. It's pretty common for instruction writers to be really specific when they're telling you the instructions for the shaping for one side of a cardigan, for shaping things like the armhole, the neck, and the side. And then, for the opposite side, instead of telling you every single little detail again, they say, work the opposite side to correspond with the first side, reversing all the shaping. Since this direction is sometimes confusing to newer knitters, I'll be explaining in detail exactly what reversing the shaping means. For my example, I'm going to be using the pattern Gardner, which is a free pattern on our website using Berroco Weekend Chunky, and I'll be looking at the size 34 instructions, but the same rules are going to apply to any size. So let's assume that I've already finished the left front of my cardigan, and now I'm going to knit the right front. When the pattern is talking about left and right fronts, it's always referring to them as if you were wearing it. So this would be the left side if I had this sweater on. The right front is basically a mirror image of what I had on the left front, so I'm going to keep that in mind when it's time for me to reverse the shaping. The first bit of shaping I'm going to encounter is along the body. I had increases happening along my left front, and the instructions in the pattern had told me to knit one, make one, and knit across, and that was my increase row. So now when I'm looking at the pattern instructions for my right front, it tells me to work as I did for the left front, reversing the shaping. And then it gives me a new increase row. Instead of what I did here, where I knit one, make one, and knit across, now the pattern tells me my new increase row is going to be work until I have one stitch left, make one, knit one. So now that I have a different kind of increase row that I'm going to be working, I can consult my left front to determine how many times I need to work that increase row, and I will once again work it just as many times as I did on the left front, and on the same rows that I did here. The only difference will be that I'm working that different kind of increase row, putting my increase at the far edge of that piece. I'll continue working on until my new right front is the same length to the armhole as my left front. Now I'm ready to begin working the armhole of the right front, and once again the pattern tells me that I need to reverse the shaping, and it gives me a couple of instructions on what to do differently on the right front. On the left front, I had bound off 4 stitches at the beginning of a right side row to start the armhole, and my pattern tells me that now I need to bind off 4 stitches at the beginning of a wrong side row, so that I'll have that little bound off shape happening on the other side of my piece. So that'll be my first step, and I'll go ahead and do that. Then I'm ready to start doing the decreasing, and the decreasing on the left front happened on right side rows, and it's going to happen again on right side rows, even on the right front, as my pattern tells me. The only difference is I'm going to be doing the same number of decreases and everything, but I'm going to be doing them in a different spot. Instead of doing it at the beginning of my row, now they're going to be at the end. So the original pattern had me knit two together, and work to the end. And now the pattern tells me work to the last 4 stitches, SSK, knit 2. So that's what I'll do, and I'll repeat it the same number of times. Now it's going to be time to start working the neck shaping. And once again, I'm going to have the same situation as I did with the armholes, where my bind-offs are going to be on 2 separate kinds of rows, so that they both end up touching once the sweater is put together. On the left front, I bound off on the wrong side row as directed, but now I'm going to, as the pattern tells me, bind off on the right side row, and that will be the opposite. Then I'm going to start working decrease rows, just as I did for the left front. I'm going to do them in the same number, the same frequency as I did for the left front, but instead of working across and then doing my decrease, which was knit 2 together, knit 2, now I'm going to work my decrease at the beginning of my row. So I will knit 2, SSK, and then knit across the rest of the row. I'll complete these to match what I had on the left front, and the final difference is going to be up here at the shoulder line. On the shoulder for my left front, I only bound off on right side rows to control the slant that was being formed. And now on my right front, I'm going to only bind off on wrong side rows so that I have a mirror image of the slant. Working reverse shaping is really not too complicated because you've kind of already done everything once before. The pattern will tell you very clearly what kind of changes to make, and it will have you repeat the same number of rows that you did on the other front, so everything else will stay the same. So all that it really requires is just a little visualization before you get started. Just imagining which side your armhole is going to be and how that shape will be mirrored on the other side. As long as you keep that in mind, you won't have any trouble with it. That's all there is to it. Thanks for watching.